there. I hope I have more than 57 seconds here. I'm going to show you how to color this and to put the stamps together so there's no space in between. Okay, so this is a big piece of paper, but that's alright. I love the Stamparatus just for holding things and for stamping. It makes it much easier for people who are klutzy like me. Okay, just 1 second. Oh, I guess I need my stamp. Okay, so my stamps are from Happiness Abounds. Very pretty rose. Really nicely drawn. So, I'm holding them down with my many slightly broken strong magnets. And, oops, I'm just going to put it right smack in the middle for now. Ooh, that's pretty sticky. I better put the magnets a bit closer there. I don't want the paper to flip up like that. There, that's a bit better. There. Okay, I'm going to use some Memento ink. You can see this is well loved. Memento is a fade-resistant ink, and it's good to use with alcohol markers. Okay, so with the Stamparatus, you know, if you don't like how it stamps the first time, you can always add more ink, which is what I love, and stamp it again. There, so you get a perfect image every time. Okay, let's get that cleaned off, and I'm going to put this back before I lose it. Okay, so there we go. Yeah. Okay, so what I want is leaves, and if I just stamp them like this, they're going to be over stamping itself, and it's going to look very weird. So what I do, I already had done this before. You stamp onto a piece of paper. This is a piece of Post-it. Cut it out and cover it exactly where it was, so that when you stamp on top, this is a mask, and it's going to prevent that overlap. There, so let's grab a little... Oh, what am I doing? I have a Stamparatus here. Okay, so right about there. Squish that down. Okay, let's do that also in Memento. Okay, that's pretty good. And I think I'll do another one on the other side. Okay, so over here somewhere, we'll do it. So you could put it over here, but a lot of plants don't look like that. They often have the leaves right behind the rose, and that's what I want it to look like. So I'm going to put it over here. Stamp that down there, or squish that down. Woo. Okay, and make sure it's the right way. Yes. Make sure that the actual stamp side is on the correct side. I've done that before where you get the back, and that's not fun. Okay, so here we go with the other side. That's pretty good right there. Yeah, I'm not going to overstamp it. Okay, put that away before I lose it. Okay, and now when we remove the mask, you'll see the roses in front of the leaves. Otherwise it would look like this with all the black on top. Let me just check my camera here. Everything's still good. Okay. I probably should be standing up. Ooh, yes, I hope that you can hear me okay. So here we go. It's all stamped and ready to go. So I like to start with, I've got the Stampin' Blends. This one is light polished pink. I made my own label because my eyes don't read the tiny print very well. So I like to start with light colors, and I usually test it on a piece of scrap paper. It's very pink, but let's just color it in with this light color. And you don't have to be perfect unless you are really into that look. I sometimes prefer a little more rustic, messy look myself. So I like to do the light colors first, because you can always add darkness. It's really hard to add light, so that's why I usually start with the light. And then I've got my light old olive. This is a very popular color, and I had to get new markers because the other one wore out. Okay, so just doing it, covering the basic shape with the light color. And I am a person who likes a lot of dark and light, so let that dry a little bit. I'm going to take the same light polished pink and just go over it where I believe the shadows are going to be, where the dark parts are, where the light is not getting in there. It can be a bit tough, and sometimes I look at an actual rose on Google, just look at a picture, or even if you can look at a real one, that's even better. But just in the little corners where the light is not going to get to, most likely. It gives you a bit of a dark shadow. I'll let that dry a little bit so we can see how it is. And again, with the light Old Olive, I don't want to use the dark markers yet because sometimes this is going to be dark enough. So let's see if we redo it. See there, just doing an extra layer can make it fairly dark. And I like to give the leaves a bit more interest by adding some of the little veins. Okay, so it's quite light still, but we'll just give it a second to dry. Okay, and there's always darkness down in here where the shadows are, where the light does not reach. And now I'm going to try the dark polished pink and just see how dark it's going to go. And I want to use the smaller end and just get in these little corners and in the middle where the light doesn't really get, because it's all folded up. And then the whiter part is going to be here on the outside where the light hits the petals of the rose. So under there, and around there, and maybe around there. Yeah, I mean, you just sort of guess, try and imagine where the light, where the shadows might be and where the light will be hitting. Gives it a little bit of 3D effect. Okay, and let that dry, and then because these are alcohol markers, they tend to blend in, just like the green did, and I think the leaves need a little bit more definition, so we're going to use the dark Old Olive. And just see here, okay, this is the small pointed part of the marker, so let's just give it a bit more of these, veins. If it's not perfect, it's okay, it's just hand colored. So let that dry. It'll lighten up a bit as it dries. And the pink, let me just look at my original one here. There is a color lifter as well, but I'm not going to use it right now, but it can be used to lighten up some highlights. Now, I'm just going to let the pink part of the rose sit for a minute, and you can see the dark Old Olive, it's kind of lightened up a bit, and I like a bit more drama, so I'm going to use a tiny bit of the dark Night of Navy, just to kind of give some much darker shadows. And I just like to very gently mark kind of where I know the shadows are going to be. Usually they're on the underside, the part that's away from the light. It's not easy to do. Let me just take some Old Olive again, the dark one. The parts that are sort of downwards facing are going to be darker usually. And the parts like up here where it's lighter, that's where the light will be hitting, so I don't want to touch that. So that gives it a bit of definition at least. Now, I'm standing up, so it makes it a little harder to color, but it looks pretty good. I'm going to try to go over it a bit more with the light, just to see if it'll blend a bit in with the dark. Looks pretty neon when you first put it on. There. It might be a little bit darker than the original one. It's hard to make them the same every single time, but I think that's okay, because flowers are different, like each one is different. So that's a bit brighter, but when it dries, it should lighten up a little bit more. So basically that is how you do some highlights and some shadows and masking with Stampin' Blend's alcohol markers. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe and like. And as I forgot to mention at the beginning, my name is Sarah. I'm a independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Edmonton. Thanks for watching.